There's a thing called World Hijab Day, and this is what I want to cover today in this video, because you're going to see from the mainstream media and you're going to see from a lot of Islamic pushed channels that World Hijab Day is it's a good thing, right? And I'm here to offer a different perspective, that it is a problem. It is a problem to have World Hijab Day, and especially in Western countries like where I'm at, which is in Canada. And if you're in the US, if you're in Western Europe, Eastern Europe, any of the more developed countries of the world, you should not be standing by and supporting such an abomination as World Hijab Day. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to explain it with facts, and I'm going to dismantle this whole thing. And hopefully at the end of this video, you'll see how it all is a big sham, and it has a very, very secret, but not always so secret agenda, which is very, very dark and gloom. So anyways, let's just go through this today, and hopefully you can join me in not supporting this World Hijab Day. So they're attempting through this World Hijab Day to portray Muslim women as victims. So the very fact that World Hijab Day exists today is due to the victimization of a Muslim woman in America. So she came to America and she claims that she was victimized and bullied in school because of her hijab. And again, how damning was this bullying, and how comparable is it to any other bullying that Americans go through? I remember when I was a kid, I didn't dress with this. There was this clothing company in Canada called Hijab, and I remember I didn't have Hijab clothes because I didn't have a lot of money. My parents were poor, and when I went to school, I got bullied because of that, and I got severely kicked. And I'm not even joking, like that was a big issue for me, to the point where I would go to Salvation stores where you buy secondhand clothes there, and I would take the tags off of whatever Hijab I would buy if I didn't like the clothes, and I would sew it into some of the clothes that I liked at home. And then I got bullied even more because they found out that I did that. So anyways, you know, every kid has a bully story, you know, so anyways, so it is to take with a grain of salt when somebody keeps telling us I was bullied because of my headscarf. Maybe you were bullied because you were shy and they attacked your headscarf. Like, you know, when it comes to kids, it's very hard to apply a whole, you know, set of laws and rules and all that because of stuff kids do in school. So it's take it with a grain of salt how this whole World Hijabs Day started, but it's the more nefarious implications that we're gonna go over here and treat. So they want us to wear the hijab, us non-Muslim Western women to wear the hijab, supposedly for solidarity, to break down some kind of cultural barriers, and so we can understand the oppression that women feel from us evil Westerners when they wear the hijab, which is, this is the claim. But again, and there's also talk, I've seen talk about interfaith dialogue and how it's a choice. It's a choice to wear the hijab, the women choose to wear the hijab. So basically the promoters of that kind of idea are the ones that are banking on the fact that you know nothing about Islam. And most of us don't. I mean, my gosh, who wants to sit down and read the Quran, right? Nobody really wants to do that in the West. And unfortunately for us, this is why we don't know about the Quran. And this is why I make these videos, because I'm going to show you what it says in the Quran about the hijab. And how this whole World Hijab Day is an entire manipulation, how they're trying to pull the wool over our eyes, and it's important for us in the West to stand up against this and not just fall victim to the manipulation. So I'm going to start right away with the right to choose. We're going to address that one right off the bat, because if you look at the World Hijab website, you will see that a lot of people are on there saying, oh, it's my choice, and you see even like very, very weird things like Christian women wearing the hijab because they feel better in it. Anything goes on that site, it seems. Anything to advance the propaganda. So the right to choose is the biggest lie. You cannot have the right to choose. And the reason for that, and this is, every Muslim knows this, it's mandated by the Quran. And the Quran is the word of God. So no Muslim has the right to question the word of Allah. This is very clear by all Islamic scholars. You have no right to question the words of Allah, and you have no rights to question or reinterpret the Quran. What the Quran says is good for eternity, for all of mankind and is applicable to everybody, right? So you do not have the right to even question it. This is what the Muslim world is told about the Quran. Luckily for me, I question it because I'm in the West and I question all ideologies and I expect the ideology to defend itself. And if you don't have an idea that is better than mine, then my idea should win. That's how it works in the West, and this is why we have the freedoms that we have in the West. So their imams are telling them in mosque that the women have to wear the hijab. There's a lot of family pressure to wear the hijab, and all of it stems from the Quran. So here we go. People don't think I read the Quran. I've been told that by Muslims. You didn't read the Quran. I actually have the Quran. I don't just read the websites. I also have a physical copy. And I'm going to turn it to the hijab verse. So this is the verse that... Sorry, I'm just looking for it. It would have been smart of me to put a sticky for that one. Okay, so this is the verse that I've heard the imams and the sheikhs quote to their Muslim congregations in order to tell the women that they need to wear a hijab. I'm going to post links to those videos in the links in the comment section, the description of this video, so you can go and watch them all. I've pulled a whole bunch, and this is the quote. This is the Quranic verse that they will use to compel everybody, all the women to wear the hijab, and to compel all the men, the Muslim men, to encourage their women to wear the hijab. So here we go. It is chapter 33 verse 59. Oh, sorry, that's another one. I want to go to another one first. Hold on guys. Sorry. Ay. Would have been best to be organized on this one, eh? Yep. It is... Oh, I'm going to pause it and I'm going to be right back with the right verse so I don't waste your time. All right, I got my act together. So initially I said it was chapter 33, verse 59, and I was listening to a few Muslim clerics who were saying that that's not the true verse for the hijab, and that I should really go with this other one, which is chapter 24, verse 31. So this is the one. And I'm going to read it for you so that there's no chance of me interpreting it wrong or anything like that. Of course, I know some Muslims are going to say, well, it's the translation that's wrong and you should be able to read Arabic and all that nonsense. So anyways, have you ever noticed that it's really just the Quran that is always mistranslated? Like, there's no other book in the history of humankind that is mistranslated. It's always like, you never hear about the Bible when it's translated to Spanish is not, right? You never hear that. You only hear that about the Quran, which I find really funny. Anyways, here we go. So it's verse 31 of chapter 24, and it says, "And say to the believing women that they should lower their sight and guard their private parts, and not show their charms, except for what normally appears of them. And let them draw their head coverings over their breasts, and not show their charms except to their husbands, or their fathers, or their husbands' fathers, or their sons, or their husbands' sons, or their brothers' sons." I'm going to speed through this, or of what their right hands own, which means slaves. So they've managed to have a slave permission. You have the right to have slaves in the same verse that you have to mandate the hijab. "Or such men as attend have no sexual desire, or children who are not yet aware of women's nakedness, and let them not stamp their feet to make known that they hide of their charms. Turn to God in repentance, all of you believers, so that you may prosper." So there we go, straight out of the Quran. I don't know how else to say this. That is the verse that even the Islamic scholars are pointing to in order to get their women to cover up. So that takes care of the right to choose. If it's in the Quran, you do not have a right to choose. The word of God, eternal, all of mankind, no right to choose. When they say right to choose, actually, you know what? That's kind of code. It says I can choose to wear it or I can die, right? I can die being beat up in the streets by other Muslims. So anyways, the second thing I'm going to go into is they want us to wear the hijab for a day. Now, what my problem is nowhere on the World Hijab website does it ever mention that the biggest oppressor of Muslims is other Muslims. So the biggest enforcers of the hijab are other Muslims in Muslim countries, and even women who go around and police other women who are not wearing the hijab right, or who are not wearing it correctly, or who aren't wearing it at all. So this is a big problem. Like they're blaming the West via World Hijab Day for all of the oppression that we give them. But nowhere is it mentioned that even bigger than the oppression, so-called oppression. Jesus, what's happening with this? Hold on. See, now you see my real face with no lighting. I hate it, so I'm gonna turn my light back on. It's like plugged into my computer, so it dies. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Pretty Julie is back. All right. So when I think about wearing the hijab here in a non-Muslim country, on, you know, in compassion, or to walk in the shoes of a Muslim, I hate that they don't point out the real problem in the Muslim world. So in Iran, if you don't wear the hijab, you are going to be jailed. And it's happening right now. A lot of women in Iran are trying to get rid of the hijab, and they're being jailed. So, you know, if we really want to help Muslim women, we should do that. And this also applies to women who are here in Canada and in the US and in Western Europe. You know, let's think for a moment about the Muslim women who are here who don't want to wear the hijab. We should be encouraging them. We should be supporting them. We should be doing everything that we can to make it as easy as possible for them to drop the hijab when they are in Canada. But of course, because the hijab is a mandated version of the Quran, it's in the Quran, the Muslim families who come here often will be the ones who enforce. So this is the Muslim family imposing on their daughters and their wives to wear the hijab. So another part I would like to address is the interfaith dialogue that we often hear, saying it's part of interfaith, you know. But here's my question. The Muslims are always asking us for interfaith, which is really a Western concept of freedom of religion, accepting tolerance of other people who don't necessarily live like you. These are all concepts that are established and that we live in the West. So when they say interfaith, it's a one-way street. Have you noticed that it always goes towards the Muslims, but it never comes back our way? So if Christians were to host a pig roast, right? The Muslims wouldn't come to that. Nobody would say to a Muslim, oh, maybe you should try a bit of pig just for one day, like February 1st, or February 2nd, let's pick the 2nd. February 2nd, after we've all put on the hijab, why don't you guys all come to our big pig roast that we're going to do and just try one little chunk of pig, just one pig, one little chunk. Or hey mate, why don't you come have a beer with us on February 2nd at the local bar, right? Just for one day, just try it for one day. Hey, why don't you shave your beards, you men, the Muslim men that wear the long beard without the mustache part? Why don't you shave your beards for one day so that you can be with like us, right? You've noticed it's a one-way street towards Islam and never back. So I just keep having problem after problem in this video, technically. Anyways, my camera just stopped there. Sorry about that. Oh, okay, we're almost there. We're almost there, almost done. One more page down. So, here's the thing. I think that to be truly compassionate, we first have to support the Muslim women who are here, who do not want to wear the hijab. Second of all, we owe it to our fellow ex-Muslims to support them once they're here, because they've fled the Islamic countries. And third of all, if we were true feminists, if we were truly concerned about the fate of women, we would actually be speaking out against the fact that the hijab is mandatory in places like Iran, Kuwait, Qatar, Iraq, Afghanistan, all of these Muslim countries who are governed by Sharia. They are forcing the women to wear hijab. Even the non-Muslim women have to wear a hijab. So let's talk about that. Why don't we talk about that? The fact that it's a mandatory thing and it's used as an oppression of women. Clearly it is. So anyways, now the last part of this video is, why are they doing this? Why is there a World Hijab Day that's not really applicable to the whole world, because the Muslim world already has hijab? So it really means World Hijab is code for Western Hijab Day, trying to get us non-Muslims to wear hijab. There's a very sinister agenda at play here, and this is the agenda of the Muslim Brotherhood. This fits right into the Muslim Brotherhood agenda of subverting the US, Canada, the Western world from within and bringing it down by our own hands. This is a stated goal of the Muslim Brotherhood in America, and this plays right into that. So they're Islamicizing the Western parts of the world. And while they're Islamicizing, they're normalizing certain parts of it, or portraying these parts of Islam as being completely benign, just like the hijab. It's benign. It's just a head covering. It's my religious choice. I want to do it. I'm not forced. Nobody's forcing me to wear it. It's interfaith dialogue. This is part of the normalization of the hijab, and it is essentially Sharia. Every time a woman, non-Muslim woman puts on a hijab during World Hijab Day, she is subjecting herself to the Sharia. And this is not our law system here. No woman in the West should ever submit to Sharia willingly. It should not happen. So the World Hijab Day is essentially perpetrating the biggest symbol of misogyny that has ever existed in the world, which is the hijab. And they are now trying to control Western women and force them to wear it via a compassionate agenda. So anyways, here's my ask for everybody here in the West. If you're a woman, if you can, speak out. Share this video, even though like all the technical glitches happen and I can't record this another time because I have to run out. But share it, because if you don't want to make a video, at least maybe you can share this one. If you don't want to speak out about it because you're in a position where you can't, and I completely understand, I'll keep speaking out about it. But at the very least, I am begging you, Western women, please, please, please do not wear a hijab on Hijab Day on February 1st. That's it. That's all you need to do. Just don't do it. Just say no thank you and move along. And if almost all Western women could do that, maybe World Hijab Day will die by itself. If nobody's doing it, why would they do it, right? So anyways, there we go, guys. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you all in the next one. Thank you.